We start with Liam Duggan. Adam, can you shed any more light on how he's going?
Yeah, got an infection on a little cut somewhere on his toe or something like that, and ended up in hospital for a couple of days. But he's been discharged and he's going to be okay. So it's sort of happening with Jake as well, a little bit different with his thumb. But yeah, he's fine. But he wouldn't have been available this week, so we didn't appeal the incident that he was in. So yeah, a bit worried there for a tiny bit, but it was he was fixed pretty quickly, and he's been discharged, and he'll recover and he'll be fine post-bye.
Okay. The injury list otherwise
it's not good.
For pretty grim reading. Have you got an idea of how many you're going to be picking from this week?
Yeah, it's probably one of the lowest. I think we've lost 6 or 7 from last week, including Barras. So and Duggan coming into play, and Rotham's the most recent injury to a finger. Jamison's a bit sore. Hearn's hamstring. Who else we got? Duggan. Yeah, so it's unfortunately it's just been a string of bizarre injuries that have been really difficult to control. And then we get a few guys back, but not everyone.
Have you locked in those guys that are coming back? Shuey being one, and
Shuey will come. Yeah, he'll come back. He trained today, so Jack trained today, so we're hoping he'll pull up well. So we're just going to see how he pulls up tomorrow. Then we've got to find five others around the trap. So Luke Edwards is available. Patricia Seaton's available. So there's some guys there that, but it is getting at the back end of availability, unfortunately.
Does it remain a balancing act with Luke as well, coming back in and having to work his way back with managed minutes?
Luke Edwards.
Shuey.
Oh, Luke Shuey. No, he's done a massive block. Yeah, so we've deliberately held him back, try and get this, run of injuries he's had. We've tried different tacks, so we've given him pretty much a mini pre-season. So he probably could have come back 2 or 3 weeks ago.
It was mentioned yesterday that Nick's had to have a review with the specialist. Can you shed some light on as to, is that for surgery or is that to sort of have a bit of a rejig with his rehab plan?
Yeah, well, he was tracking okay, stagnated a little bit, and then we had a follow-up scan recently, and it looks like he's going to need surgery now. So it's time to pull the pin on the season and get that surgery that he needs. So it's a long-term one. So the recent scan we had didn't come back too good, so we've got no choice, unfortunately. So he'll get surgery early next week, maybe.
The long-term rehab with that, is this something which hopefully fixes it, or is it something that Nick's going to have to manage long-term, and the consideration of, can I get back to elite level? Yeah,
I'm not fully across the magnitude of the surgery, but I know it's something you can recover from and fully recover. I think it's just a long stint out, so therefore the season's out of question. So yeah, it's something you can come back from.
So is it a ruptured ACL or is it partially torn? Achilles?
I don't know. No, I don't think it has, but I think it's got to the point where it needs some surgical intervention to fix it. So yeah, I'm not great on this part. All I know is he's unavailable for the rest of the year. I got told that today.
Bailey must be a bit of a silver lining given Nick's issues. He's been in some pretty good form.
Yeah, we've been very lucky that he's been durable, and he's held up his own. Yeah, so all this stuff, it's difficult to manage, and it's sometimes hard to see the positives. But we are learning a lot about our lists. Our younger players are getting really good exposure. Some of them aren't quite ready, as I've been saying, and some have really stood up. So young Hoff, I think, has been a revelation for us this year, and Jimby and Bailey Williams and some of these guys coming through with, opportunity have stood up. So in the long run, it'll pay us back. It just hurts at the moment.
Is there a chance Harry Barnett could have a really nice debut in South Australia?
There's a chance. He's in the squad. So we haven't had match committee just yet on the final side, but out of the 26, there's probably 3 there that haven't played before. So 3, yeah, Jimmy Barnett and young Ryan.
He was great though at the weekend, Barnett. I know you were there as well at Swans game. He was fantastic in the ruck against another experienced ruckman in Nathan Blakely.
Yeah, he's still learning his craft, but he's taking steps. He's 18. He's going to take a while to get to the maturity he needs to. And if he plays, he might be a bit underdone. But he's in the mix with the other boys.
And obviously he misses the week anyway, but how is Elijah Hewitt pulled up?
He's fine, yeah. Oh, not fine. He's going through the protocols. So I think if there was a game next week, he would have played. So I think he's heading towards that anyway, so he's okay.
Simon, were you starting to fear or maybe worry that we may have seen the last of Nick now?
Well, I hope not. No, I hope not. So hopefully we can get this right and he can work through the rehab and we'll see him next year. So it's been unfortunate this year. He's obviously won a couple of best and fairest there, and he had interrupted year last year, and this came out of the blue a little bit pre-season. So it's something that I think he can get over for sure.
Mentally, how's he?
Oh, I'm sure he's not great today. I haven't spoken to him recently. So, for all the guys we've had that have been out for a long period of time, it's bloody hard. Tom Cole's the same. He's missed all of last year and a lot of this year as well. It's difficult in rehab, but they're resilient and they're up for the fight. So that's hopefully Nick's up for this one.
There was a lot of talk, obviously, this week about the De Goey incident with Hewitt. One of the things that kept coming up from experts and such in the media was about your players and not, reciprocating or going to De Goey afterwards. Have you guys had a chat about that as a group?
No, not really. No, that's up for you guys to comment on. I was actually really proud of how they responded with the way they played. Might have missed an opportunity to grab a jumper, but the most important thing is how we responded with the way we played. So the guys can reflect on that. Some of the younger players can learn from those situations, but what we did in the second and third quarters in particular were that's resilience, that's strength, that's toughness. So there's not too much you can do these days.
That stretch of play in the second and third quarters against the Pies, how do you sort of go about trying to turn that into a fourth quarter? Well, a fourth quarter effort.
Have more than two on the bench would be handy. Look, it's a challenge for us right now, and it's a broken record, I know, and I know you guys are probably sick of hearing it, but the path we're on doesn't change. It's just at the moment we are ravaged with injuries, and that's just reality, and it's not an excuse, but there's a fair reason why it's been a challenge to put 4 quarters together. Some of the games we've played recently have been unacceptable, and some we've taken some real positives from, and on the weekend I think we'll take some real positives from and try and work out how we can manage things better in the last quarter. So that's what we took out of that game.
And those run of plays, similar situations against Port and the Cats as well, is that sort of the message you try to reinforce, that there are times where you are getting on top of those teams?
Well, that's what we're chasing, yeah. So I think last year was a real challenge. We found it really difficult to have any type of identity and be competitive, but I feel like we're running over the ground better, and you can sort of see what we're trying to do. And it's slow going. And we've got to be a little bit patient, but until we get everyone back and available, it's going to be hard to string that consistent look. So when you see us play well, I think we're starting to get a little bit of an identity. It's just trying to get 4 quarters is the real big challenge for us. I
know it's probably the last thing on your mind, but you just said 26 players to pick from. Does your Waffle side play this weekend?
It's not the last thing on my mind, because that's part of everything we're doing. It's a real challenge. So we'll have to take a couple of travellers as well. So Rob Wiley's got maybe 1 player to choose from. So we'll have to work through that. It's just an unfortunate consequence of we've been dealt with for the last 2.5 years, really. So the Waffle Eagles system can work if we have availability. I think we played finals 3 years ago. Really good feeder program for our boys, as well as being competitive at Waffle level. But when you don't have the players and you've got to use the young AMO boys who are doing everything they can to be competitive, it's a challenge. So it's just where we're at the moment.
I understand though even some of the senior guys in that have been ruled out for a couple of weeks, if not the season. I think Alec Waterman might be done for the year.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I've got my own problems, so the Waffle Eagles list hasn't quite been on the top of my radar, but they are part of us. They are connected. I think there's a squad of 30 odd, so I'm not sure. I think there's enough for a team.
How's Elliot Yeo pulled up, and I mean he was such a dominant force in the Collingwood game. Do you have any concerns about all his minutes sort of in the middle, given his injury history? Do you need to kind of balance it?
It's a good question. We're trying to learn a bit from the Fremantle game early in the year when we lost to 3 players in that game, and we haven't done a lot of training this week, and he's one of those. But he got managed. I think we managed him pretty well. I think he played 90 odd minutes for a game that he probably could have played 127 minutes. So I think we managed. I think it was our priority to manage. But some guys played huge minutes last week through necessity, and we've got to try and look after them this week and hopefully don't break down in this game.
Looking at Adelaide, Adam, they got a lot of height. How do you, I guess, go about?
I'm laughing because we don't.
How do you go about combating that?
Well, we just don't let it get in the forward line and try our best. You know, some guys are going to be playing a bit like last week. You would have seen it was a challenge at stages when even Shannon Hearn playing tall, he can do it well because he's crafty, but some of our younger, you know, less experienced players who have to play back find it a challenge. So we'll do everything we can to be as positive as we can and be as resilient as we can. I think it's Texas 250th as well, so we'll try and keep it out of his hands.
The way you're defending the field as well, have you stripped back at all the way that you're playing and defending given the, I guess, personnel?
It's a challenge these days with the way the game's played. You can't park the bus anymore. You can't just flood back and just deal with supply and as best you can. The team's too smart for that. So there's things you can do, but you know, doing that, trying to play our way, trying to continue to take steps forward. That's always a challenge when we're in the position we're in. So we'll work through that as we said.
How have you viewed Oscar Allen the last couple of weeks stepping in as captain?
Good. Yeah, really good. It's like I said with Duggan and Barras, all doing reasonably good jobs. I know we haven't won, but they've all played well, and I think that's the first sign of a good leader, isn't it? To play good footy. So Oscar seemed to rise to the occasion. Luke gets it back this week, so it's his now. So hopefully Luke can rise to the occasion this week.